Now, God is fixing to get down to business here and speak to Moses about what he is going to do, what his role in the future of the nation of Israel is. And he says there in verse 7, he says, "And the Lord told him, I've certainly seen the oppression of my people in Egypt. I've heard their cries of distress because of their harsh slave drivers. Yes, I'm aware of their suffering. So I've come down to rescue them from the power of the Egyptians and lead them out of Egypt into their own fertile and spacious land. It is a land flowing with milk and honey, the land where the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites now live." All the ites. Verse 9, "Look, the cry of the people of Israel has reached me, and I have seen how harshly the Egyptians abuse them. Now go, for I'm sending you to Pharaoh. You must lead my people out of Egypt." So God did not decide just then to give the land of Canaan to the people of Israel, right? That had been decided back in Genesis chapter 12 with the call of Abraham. It's just now time to put it all into action. God was very honest with Abraham, with Isaac, with Jacob, and with Joseph. You will not possess this land. Your ancestors will. Your ancestors will be as numerous as the stars in the sky or the grains of sand on the seashore. And they certainly were, by the millions. So it's time for them to move into the land. And in doing so, it's fulfilling this covenant promise that was made to the patriarchs so long ago. And it was not a new promise. It was not a new thing. It was the fulfillment of an old thing. So he tells him there, he says, "I've certainly seen the oppression of my people in Egypt. I've heard their cries." So God wanted Moses to know that he heard Israel. He knew what Israel was dealing with, and he had compassion for them. That's really important stuff. God is not distant. God is not far from us. God is not ignoring us. Sometimes there's just God's timing. The Israelites probably would have preferred to have went back to Israel before this, but God has his timing. And see, before this, God had really, with Moses, separated, right? There, don't come any closer. Take your sandals off. He sees him or hears him from a burning bush, which is something Moses can't comprehend. How can a bush be burning and never be consumed? It's all kind of strange. But yet here it is in the middle of this. Here's Moses seeing all these things from God. And then Moses begins to speak very compassionately about Israel. "I have seen the oppression of my people. I've heard their cries. I'm going to bring them out of this." So God is separate from us, but God is not necessarily distant from us. We can't fully understand God. We don't relate to him in the same way that we can relate to other people because he is so different than us. But he still is compassionate. He still draws near to us. He still is there for us. There's still that relationship. It's right there with us. And then he tells him, "I'm sending you. I'm sending you." And see, God oftentimes works through people. There's moments in history where God simply works miraculously. I believe God still is in the miracle business today. I've come across a few of them in my life. And I'm fascinated when I see what I think is God just working in a miraculous fashion. But at the same time, here he is working through people. And that's been something he's chosen to do throughout history because he loves us and he wants us to join him where he's at work. He cares about us. He wants to know us and he wants us to know him. And so he often does that by using us as part of his plan to accomplish his purposes. That's Moses. And before it's over with, Moses will be referred to in a very unique way as a friend of God. Talk to you soon.